Hello, I'm Aren Esser. In this video, I will tell about Göbeklitepe, the first known temple. Göbeklitepe is the oldest known group of cult structures in the world, located near Öğrenci village of Haliliye district, 18 kilometers northeast of Şanlıurfa city center in Turkey. Göbeklitepe, which belongs to the Neolithic period, is the first known temple, so it is very important in terms of being the center of the first faith on earth. It is also referred to as the 0 point of history in some popular sources. Some statues and stones unearthed during the excavations here are exhibited in the Şanlıurfa Archaeology Museum. The common feature of these structures is that 10 to 12 T-shaped obelisks are arranged in a circular plan, and between them are built with a stone wall. In the center of this structure, two higher obelisks are placed opposite each other. Human, hand and arm. Various animal and abstract symbols are embossed or carved on most of these obelisks. The motifs in question have been used too intensely to be an ornament from place to place. This composition is thought to express a story, a narrative or a message. Bull, wild boar, fox, snake, wild duck and vulture are the most common motifs in animal motifs. It is described as a cult center, not a settlement. It is understood that the cult structures here were built by the last hunter groups who were close to agriculture and animal husbandry. In this case, it is claimed that the earliest use of the region dates back to the pre-pottery Neolithic age, that is, at least 11,600 years ago. The obelisks in question are interpreted as stylized human sculptures. In particular, the human hand and arm motifs found on the body of the D-shaped central obelisks dispel all doubts on this matter. Therefore, the concept of obelisk is used as an auxiliary concept that does not specify a function. Essentially, these obelisks are stylized sculptures that depict the human body in 3 dimensions. However, the oldest activities in Göbeklitepe cannot be dated for now, but when we look at these monumental structures, it is thought that they have a history dating back to the Paleolithic age, a few thousand years older, to the Epipaleolithic. It is understood that Göbeklitepe's use as a cult center continued until 8000 BC and was abandoned after this date and was not used for other or similar purposes. All these and the monumental architecture unearthed in the excavations make Göbeklitepe a unique and special structure. In this context, it was included in the World Heritage Tentative List by UNESCO in 2011 and entered the permanent list in 2018. Locally known as Göbeklitepe visit, due to the presence of a visited deposit on the hill, the elevation is a 15-meter high hill covering an area of 300 by 300 meters on a limestone plateau of approximately 1 kilometer. In addition to cult structures, there are stone quarries and workshops on the plateau. The area where the finds were unearthed is a red soil elevation group of 150 meters in diameter, with a steep-sided floodplain to the west, extending in the northwest-southeast direction, with slight depressions between them. The tombs on the 2 highest mounds were unearthed. When viewed from the hill to the north and east, the Taurus Mountains in the foothills of Karaka Mountains, the mountain range separating the Şanlıurfa Plateau and the Euphrates Plain to the west, and the Harran Plain to the Syrian border can be seen to the south. With this location, Göbeklitepe can see a very wide area and it can be seen from a very wide area. On the other hand, it is clear that a very high-quality stone source is needed for such monumental structures. Indeed, the limestone used in Göbeklitepe is a very hard stone that is not found everywhere. Even today it is considered the best quality limestone in the region. Therefore, this must be one of the reasons why Göbeklitepe Plateau was chosen. Göbeklitepe was discovered in 1963 during the Prehistoric Research in Southeastern Anatolia survey conducted by Istanbul University and the University of Chicago. A few hills that looked ordinary and unnatural were covered with thousands of broken flint debris that was certain to be man-made. Based on the finds collected from the surface of the mound during the surveys, it was concluded that this place might be one of the important settlements of the region, such as Biri's Cemetery, Epipaleolithic, and Söğüt Field 1, Paleolithic and Epipaleolithic, Söğüt Field 2, Pottery Neolithic. The region was mentioned for the first time in Peter Benedict's article, Survey Work in Southeastern Anatolia, published in 1980. However, it was not addressed. Later, in 1994, another study was carried out in the region by Klaus Schmidt from Heidelberg University. Only then did the monumental characteristic of the site and, accordingly, its archaeological value attract attention. Excavations were initiated in 1995 after the survey conducted under the presidency of the Schönlurfa Museum and under the scientific consultancy of Harald Hauptmann from the Istanbul German Archaeological Institute, DI. Immediately after, excavations were started under the presidency of Schönlurfa Museum and under the scientific consultancy of Klaus Schmidt. Since 2007, the excavations have been carried out with the determined excavation status of the Council of Ministers and Professor Dr. It was continued under the chairmanship of Klaus Schmidt. The Institute of Prehistory at the German University of Heidelberg also participated in the project. Detailed excavations over the years have provided reliable scientific results that will enable to rewrite the Neolithic revolution in the ground that prepared it. Göbeklitepe, the work of a great organization and imagination, is the oldest monument of this size and beyond the first. It constitutes the 0 point of history in many senses. At a time when people lived as hunter-gatherers, the construction of temples that required advanced architecture caused astonishment all over the world. The temples, which reflect the belief world of prehistoric people and enriched with animist figures, have made Göbeklitepe one of the most important discoveries in the history of archaeology. Undoubtedly, in addition to this impressiveness, all kinds of data and scientific results regarding prehistoric life and excavations are of great importance for human history. Göbeklitepe, which was the first temple built in the time of hunter and gatherer human societies, which was far away from the concepts of settlement and agriculture, before they started city life, is shown as the biggest archaeological discovery of recent years. The temple, which has not yet been answered how it was designed about 12,000 years ago, draws all the attention as it was built about 7,500 years before the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge in England. On the limestone plateau at Göbeklitepe in Urfa, Schmidt discovered more than 20 monumental round structures. The largest of these was 20 meters in diameter and had 2 carved columns 5.5 meters high. Columns carved with human and hand figures weighed 10 tons. Carving and sewing them must have required great technical difficulties. Because these structures were built at least 11,000 years ago, and it was known that the people of that period had not yet domesticated animals, and they did not even have pottery, let alone metal tools. Göbeklitepe had the oldest monumental structures of humanity, and they were built for another purpose, not for shelter. Göbeklitepe, which has been on the UNESCO World Heritage Tentative List since 2011, was included in the UNESCO World Heritage List as the 18th asset from Turkey at the 42nd World Heritage Meeting held in Bahrain in July 2018. Although Göbeklitepe has provided a lot of new information to be revealed, the still unsolved questions about the finds continue to puzzle the scientists. Who built these temples, how the pillars weighing 60 tons were transported and erected, why they were buried with tons of soil and stone, and what the exact purpose of the temples was are mysteries that will probably require years of research. The only certainty is that all this research will continue to contribute to human history and completely change what has been written so far.